Welcome to my advanced class on Dreadquake mortars. Some important things have changed since 3.0, so let's dig in, and I'm including the train variants. Please like, subscribe, and consider donating through my Ko-fi page. I'm not monetized, and every dollar bill makes a serious difference in my life right now. Thank you. The important part is that the Dreadquake received extended range. It's now 450 range out of the box. This is important because the Magma Cannon's range was nerf-batted down, so it's sub 400. The Dreadquake, assuming you survive to that point in the campaign, becomes your opening artillery salvo. You know, literally, it's longer range than anything else you have. Something to mention, in campaign, it looks as if the Armed Demon variant has only 7 ammunition base. I tested this in a battle, and the 7 is a visual bug. In an actual battle, you still have the base 15 rounds. There's no reason to avoid the Armed Demon variant because it looks inexplicably like it has half the ammo. So let's move on. If you're already in range and you don't want your Dreadquake to fire at a random target in the first 0.5 seconds, turn Fire at Will off. You don't have as much ammunition with this as with other weapons, so make your shots count. The base model has a very glassy jaw. I had a campaign battle trying this where it was 2 of my armies, relatively untested, against Zhao Ming cornered in a small settlement he'd just stolen back from me with 3 Great Cannon units. Zhao personally guarded the cannons and I could not get them with sneaky gets, and a Fireborn summon was similarly insufficient, so they got in range and cannonballed my Dreadquake to death. This was the base model with 20 speed and with its back against a literal mountain, so I couldn't really micro my way around this without compromising the rest of the battle. At least my Flying Lord lived. He was only level 15, so I really didn't want him to be cannonballed to death. The point being, the base model is squishy, and the train versions are far less squishy, which is why they're so costly. It's not simply the gold upkeep, it's costing 2 War Machine slots. The issue is, now that the Skullcracker and Iron Demon have been greatly improved, those models are worth it. There's still a few wrinkles. On the other hand, Iron Demons can fire while moving properly now. On the first hand, you can't force melee attack with them because that's bugged. So it may simply be better to leave the Iron Demon variants on the shelf. That's because Skullcrackers are that good in patch 3.1. Having said that, the Iron Demon variants have higher HP now, the reverse of the old situation. I'm going to save talking about the Demon's Tongue variant in a separate video, since CIA was kind enough to invalidate my Demon's Tongue video a few days after it went live. Thanks, CA! There's no sarcasm in that at all. No, really, there isn't sarcasm because I'd much rather have the patch. I knew they had it in them, and the game is better for it. Bravo! Some quick notes about 3.1 changes. The base Dreadquake, the glass jaw variant I mentioned, is now slightly cheaper too, and it no longer has a false liar listing of 60 speed. Leadership is down to 55 because duh, it's not meant to be unbreakable. Also, its mass got jacked up a lot, and at 20 speed you will hardly care. But its accuracy was slightly increased, which is absolutely a buff. Also, and this is a big deal to note with this kind of weapon, you can now fire at an area on the ground rather than solely at units. Apparently, this is a trade-off so that you can't force melee. That's what's confusing my poor Iron Demons. Oh well, they fixed that, right? Right? What's relevant here is that it's ammunition expensive, but if you need to try it, you can use a Dreadquake purely for quite literal area denial. Combined with your army abilities, magic, or a second Dreadquake, you can make a part of the battlefield very, very bad for infantry to beat. Feel free to look over my Skullcracker and Iron Demon advanced class videos because I go through all the relevant Hellforge upgrades for melee and artillery styles. What's relevant to the mortar part would be extra powder, extra ammo, extra reload, both of which help to keep extra powder up, but with a smaller ammunition pool, extra powder will not last as long compared to other weapons. Barrier Demon is less of a percentage buff on the train versions because the train versions are such high HP, but remember how you use the train versions. Kiting and ultra-heavy harassment fire. It might be good to be able to dart in and leave and regenerate the barrier HP. Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you how you use them. Of course, if you're bogged down, Blazing Body will at least return some pain, and artillery crews get really tired without Hellbound. The other goodies are nice too, but holy cow, perfect vigor on artillery is amazing. It means, at minimum, you're at full offensive strength when you've used your shots and have to engage in melee to help the main fight. Of course, that's with the trained versions. So, any more tips on how to use the Dreadquake? Honestly, it's kind of self-explanatory. The base weapon damage is so low that single entities won't care much, and the armor piercing and blast radius are enough that the biggest, baddest blob of high-tier infantry possible is food for your Dreadquakes. Feed them. Feed them more. Cavalry aren't exactly great targets for, destroying them, but that minus 60% speed can really matter. It matters a lot more if you have Fireglaves and they're within Fireglaive range. It matters to the extreme if the Fireglaves use Suppressed, or have Iron Demons firing also. Then it's what, minus 90% speed for a little while? If they're actually in range of your stuff, it's game over for that cavalry. Obviously, this type of weapon is basically useless against doom-stacked single-entity armies like the old Stegodon span. That's fine. Warhammer 3 features a lot of massed infantry. If you're forced to because of where the lines are, since obviously this is a friendly fire monstrosity, you don't want to be accidentally firing on your own units. And yes, the AI will try to make that happen, I see you, Fellbats. Then you might end up picking on specific archer or heavy crossbowman units. One shot might annihilate or near annihilate a unit. That's the kind of thing you want. The maximum range increase you can get from Lord skills and from text combined to 15%. That means a potential maximum range of 507.5. Just the Lord skills can get you 495. This is if you're rank 7 or above. Our Dreadquake should kill enough to rise up the ranks quickly. The ideal is to unload every last round before the quote-unquote main battle joins, if a main battle is left. I'm just saying that this ranged buff gives you an excuse to bring at least one Dreadquake mortar in every army, even if it's the base model, the squishy one. Zhao Ming was a hard case. Many opponents will be much easier on you. And if all else fails, use the trained versions as HP buffs, Skullcrackers, and Iron Demons and have at it. Take care and have fun, because Dreadquake mortars might be finicky and dangerous to your own troops, but they certainly are fun.